Welcome to section 2.7, day 1, literal equations and formulas. Today's objective is to rewrite and use literal equations and formulas. So literal equation is an equation that involves two or more variables. That is our definition of a literal equation. It just has two or more variables in it. So here it says to solve each equation for the given variable. For number 1, we have 2x plus 8y equals negative 2, and it says to solve it for y. What we need to do when we say solve for y is we want to get y all by itself. Solving like we've been doing for everything else up to this point. We just want to get y by itself. So to do that, we undo our operations in reverse order. So if we have 2x plus 8y and we want to move this 2x, we must subtract it first. Then we get 8y equals negative 2x minus 2. And then we need to get y by itself. So to undo this 8 times y, we divide. And we must divide everything by 8. So everything on both sides. And when we do this, we're left with y. Negative 2x over 8 is negative 1/4 x. And then we have minus 1/4. We have y all by itself, and it equals negative 1/4 x minus 1/4. One thing you'll notice I did with number 1 is I did simplify my fractions. Always simplify your fractions. So for number 2, it says we have negative t equals r plus px, and it says to solve for x. So in this one, we want to get x all by itself. So we need to move the r off to the other side. So now we have negative t minus r equals px. Now we need to move the p because we want x by itself. So to undo the multiplication, we divide by p. In this case, since we're just using variables, I'm going to divide negative t minus r by p all at once. And when we do this, we now have x all by itself over here, and it's going to equal negative t minus r all over p. You could also write this as negative t over p minus r over p. This is usually the way you'll see it, but the other answer is also correct. All right, so don't be scared of these. When it says to solve for a variable, all it is getting that variable all by itself equal to whatever else is there. We've been doing this when we have numbers. We've been solving for variables, but now we just have a variable equal to some other variables. It's usually what ends up happening when we do these. We use the same procedures we've been using. We undo operations to get that variable isolated by itself. Here it says to solve for y, then find the value of y for each value of x. So what we do is we need to get y by itself first. So we're going to subtract the 4x to move it, and we get 2y equals negative 4x plus 8. Then to get y by itself, we divide everything by 2. And we get y equals negative 2x plus 4. We now have y all by itself equal to negative 2x plus 4. Now we are going to substitute these in one at a time and see what our y values are for each. We have y equals negative 2 times negative 2 plus 4. This equals 4 plus 4. This equals 8. We'll do the same thing with 1. Negative 2 times 1 plus 4. When we do this, we get negative 2 plus 4. And when we solve it, we get 2. And last, we're going to plug in 3. We get negative 2 times 3 plus 4. We get negative 6 plus 4, which is negative 2. So we solved for y, and then we solve for each of our individual y values with our x values given. When we work with formulas, we want to use the same procedure. If we have an unknown variable, we want to solve the equation for that variable and then plug in what we are given. We're going to show you what that means here in just a second. So here we go, formulas. An equation that states a relationship among quantities. We've already used a lot of these this year when we were back in chapter 0. So we should already know the perimeter of a rectangle is 2L plus 2W. You should already know the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r, or pi times diameter. The area of a rectangle is length times width. The area of a triangle is half BH, or you could write it as BH over 2, the base and the height. Remember, triangles are half of rectangles, that's why we have that half there. The area of a circle is pi times radius squared. The two new ones you'll see are distance traveled, which is d, distance, equals rate times time. That one you've seen before probably in science class, but we haven't seen too much of it this year in math yet. But you will see it throughout the year. And then temperature. Celsius equals 5/9 the temperature in Fahrenheit minus 32. That is one you've probably seen in science class also. And we'll see it throughout the year for math also. So Celsius is 5/9 Fahrenheit minus 32. So when we do problems with formulas, we're going to do like we did in the last slide, where we're going to solve for our unknown variable and then plug things in. This is what that looks like. It says solve each problem, round to the nearest tenth if necessary. It says, what is the width of a rectangle with length 14 and area 161 square centimeters? So we are looking at the area of a rectangle. So the area of a rectangle formula is area equals length times width. Well, we are looking for width. So we're going to solve this equation for width. And to get width by itself, we divide by L. And then this becomes our width equals our area divided by our length. So now we can plug in what we have. We have an area of 161. We have a length of 14. And we can solve this. And when we do this, we find our width is 11.5 centimeters. So this is my width. So what we're doing with this now, since we have the ability to solve for a variable, we're going to rewrite our formulas for whatever variable we are looking for. This is a very important skill to learn. You will use it throughout math and science. So this is a very important skill to learn. Next one we have is a triangle has base 7 meters and an area of 17.5 square meters. What is the height? We are looking at the area of a triangle, and the area of triangles are 1/2 BH. We are looking for height. So we want to get height all by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is, to get rid of this half, I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. And we get 2a. So if I multiply both sides by 2, or everything by 2, half times 2 is just 1. So 2a equals b over times h. Divide by b. And so now we have our rewritten formula is height is 2a over b. We can plug in our knowns. We have 2. Our area is 17.5. We have a known base of 7. When we multiply this out, 2 times 17.5 is 35 over 7, which is 5, and it's 5 meters. So our height is 5 meters. That is what I expect you to do when we have formulas, and it says to solve for some unknown side length or area or something similar. Rewrite the formula to where you have whatever variable you're looking for is isolated by itself equal to whatever is left. Then plug in the numbers you're given to solve. For our last thing, it says here we have 4 times k plus 3 equals 12m, and it says to solve for k. We can do one of two things with this. We can distribute the 4 into the parentheses, or we could just divide by 4 right out the get-go. This is going to be easier actually to divide by 4 on both sides. And then this cancels out and you get k plus 3 equals 3m. And then we can subtract 3 and we get k equals 3m minus 3. I want to change my ink. If you were doing the other way and distributed it, you would distribute the 4 and you get 4k plus 12 equals 12m. We're going to subtract 12 and you get 4k equals 12m minus 12. And then you're going to divide by 4, divide everything by 4, and you get k equals 3m minus 3. We get the same answer no matter which way you do it. Again, this will be one of those things, what is your preference? Sometimes it makes sense to take and distribute the 4 in. Sometimes it makes more sense to divide by 4 right at the get-go. It's a personal preference. Do whichever works best for you. You will get the same answer regardless. So that was section 2.7, literal equations and formulas. Today, you'll be solving for a given variable, and when it says to solve for a variable, it just means get that variable by itself equal to everything else. So if it says solve for y, you'll get y equals, and then whatever else is there. We'll do the same thing when we work with formulas. You will solve for whatever variable you're looking for, and then you will then plug in whatever numbers you're given to solve for that missing variable. Please make sure you show all your work. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.